was shocking.
The majority of us has kind of gotten a wake-up call.
Everybody knew him as somebody who was always smiling. He was very strong.
There were some kids that were definitely rattled.
In the summer of 2008, the town of Waldwick, New Jersey was devastated by the sudden death of 8th grader Sean Fisher.
He was right out there in front and, wanted his presence known, and I think that's how he proceeded through life.
Sean entered the middle school obviously as a 6th grader and made himself known right away. He had a personality that you just noticed the minute he walked into the room.
It's out of a sad time here. The death 3 years ago of 13-year-old student athlete Sean Fisher, who died on this football field from a rare undetected heart condition known as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
Extremely loving person. He would give, he was always ready with a smile, always ready with a hug.
He was the first person I talked to when I first moved here, because he lived across the street from me, and he was always so friendly to me.
Open and simple, open to everyone, and caring.
For me, Sean represented all the good things that we wanted out of our middle school students before we started the character ed program. He was the kid who, and this is what middle school is about, who messed up. He did some things wrong, he did some things that you didn't want him to do, but he stepped up, he took ownership of it. He was accountable for what he did, responsible for what he did. He was open and honest, and he learned from it and moved forward.
He loved playing golf. In middle school, I remember he was on a part of the golf club, and he's the reason why I joined when I was in middle school. And he was very smart with math too, very mathematical. He was very bright.
Just his way and his presence on the first day of school, introducing himself, and I remember him going around the lunchroom and telling people his, hi, I'm Sean Fisher, and it was just an outgoing personality that you don't find in many young kids.
Sean was a student. He was waiting to get picked up. I had a rough day. Sean said to me, "Bridget, you look like you could use a hug." He came up to me and gave me like the biggest bear hug ever. And that's the kind of person he was.
Taught him to introduce himself to people and to shake their hand, and whether it be in the grocery store or anything like that. And after he passed, lots of people sent us cards that I had never met before, and they told me that they had met Sean and what a nice, polite person he was and what an impression he had left upon them.
Just remember being on the football field with him, and defense is on one side, offense is on the other, and just like everyone crowding around Sean, and then next thing you know, ambulance was here and his parents were here. It was just really sad and scary.
I raced down the stairs and I was able to touch Sean, and at that point he felt cold, and I, kind of knew it.
And then I called my dad up saying, "Is it true?" And he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to spoil your vacation, but passed out on the football field." Apparently they told me he was running and he just fell, and all the kids felt like didn't know what to do. They were like, "All right, is he gonna get back up?"
I was actually on vacation, and then someone called me about it, and I remember I couldn't believe it. I was just sitting on the bed like
in shock.
Yeah.
The disease is treatable, but the key to prevention is early detection.
Well, essentially what hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is that left ventricle is the main pumping chamber of the heart, of everybody's heart. And with this particular disease, it winds up getting thickened over time. And slowly, due to the thickening, it winds up constricting the blood flow. And once it completely constricts blood flow, that's when you have a sudden cardiac death. And it is hereditary also. A lot of people don't realize that
felt cold tonight.
They've had somebody young in their family die. They will a lot of times mistaken that for a stroke or just regular heart attack. And that's one of the reasons why it goes underdiagnosed, because a lot of family members don't know that they had somebody in their family that had the disease. So I think a lot of times they don't realize that. So when you go to talk to your doctor about family history, if you don't know that somebody had this disease, you'll probably just slough it off as somebody, young in your family had a heart attack, and that's what they'll say. So this won't make a connection for a lot of people. Well, typically you might have shortness of breath. I will tell you overall, the sad thing about this is a lot of times there isn't that many signs or symptoms. You can seem like perfectly normal one day, and the next day this can happen to you. And that's why a lot of times parents don't know or see. You know, if your teenager is acting tired and sleeping, well, that's what a lot of teenagers do. They sleep all day long, and they don't necessarily, you don't think of that as being abnormal.
Today, a New Jersey high school where a student athlete died 3 years ago is providing free heart screenings for its students.
CBS 2's John Metaxas reports from Waldwick in Bergen County.
Sophia Roldan is getting a rare chance to see her heart in action.
I think what the Fishers are doing is absolutely amazing. I'm honored to be working with them and to provide this screen. You know, Waldwick was our first program that we started, and as I had mentioned a little bit earlier, having children make a connection with their bodies was sort of a side effect to what we do. But ultimately, kids have to take, and all adults and individuals have to take control of their bodies and get to know what's going on inside their bodies.
We started Gift of Life America, which is a foundation which assists disadvantaged children in Bergen, Passaic, and Hudson County with their medical, dental, and ocular needs. As a result of that, we got together over the next year or so and organized a program with the Gregory Hirsch Foundation, Gift of Life America, and the Sean Fisher Foundation to establish the program of heart screening for incoming 9th graders here at Waldwick High School.
I would encourage anyone with children over the age of 12 to get their kids' hearts checked. It doesn't cost much. It's the price of a baseball bat or a couple of hockey sticks or a set of beginner clubs. It doesn't cost much. In this way, you can avoid the tragedy that Sheila, my wife, and I have been through.
It's very a shame that he passed away, but his memory will forever live at Waldwick as a bright, young, smart boy.
There are very few people, young people too, that you would say has an impact right away, and Sean did. Absolutely.
The foundation itself is definitely living on through Sean, because Sean was a giving, loving person, and we know that he would wholeheartedly agree with this foundation. Although he wouldn't like the publicity, he wouldn't, because he was one of those background persons who would do something nice but not want to get acknowledgement for it.
Probably many people will owe Sean their life because maybe things will be detected a lot earlier. So I think, you know, when we look back, I think that's going to be his legacy.
The first symptom of this disease is death. And I don't want to scare anyone, but unfortunately, we found out the very hard way about that. And if Sean would have been checked, he might have been around today with us, and we wouldn't have been making this video. But since what happened to him, we're going to strive and continue to make sure this doesn't happen again to anyone else in this town, county, and hopefully state.
I think his uncle said it best in his eulogy. Sean paid it forward. And I think that's what we need to do, is to pay it forward. So whatever we can do to help others not find themselves in that predicament and have such great loss, anything we can do would be Sean's legacy.
That we can do these screenings for kids to save someone else's life. So in that respect, Sean does the thumb up, because we taught him that also whenever he was on the field, and if he fell or something, you know, thumbs up. So you'll see. And also, life is good, life is happy, so we would do thumbs up. So thumbs up, Sean.